Hello everyone, and here we are with a report on Warfleets of the Far Side. Past Sunday saw a long-awaited moment in our club's The Tin Soldier of Antwerp history, the return after almost 20 years of the Far Side of the Galaxy. This was a bit of an unofficial nickname our gaming clique had when we played almost 3 years of spaceship games in the farthest corner of the clubhouse. And now we decided, or at least the remainders of the people of that time, to bring those fleets out of the mothballs and travel the space lanes with a battle day using the one-page rules Warfleets rule set. The reason for this was simple. That way fleets of all sorts could be taken, whether it was Babylon 5, the game we played for those years, Star Wars Armada, Battlefleet Gothic, or a heap of other stuff. I wrote up a pack of 5 linked scenarios, we played 4, more on that later, to form a story, paired everyone with the opponents for the whole day, and off we went. The event was attended by 9 players, and here is a little clip of the participating fleets. I'll put a section at the end of the video with all the vessels on display. So the little clip that I just mentioned. Terrain was made from scratch builds, see my earlier CD train video for that, for example, including nebulas with color changing tea lights, and apart from a real space mat from Deep Cut, we bought some cheap tablecloths with star print from Temu for the event, who were about €4 a piece. If a coffee or a cola would be spilled on that one, nobody would care. And with everything set up, it was time to get the FTL drives fired up, warp to the system to seek out what just happened there. Me and my co-organizer Andy would alternate as a reserve player, as we were, as mentioned above, with 9 people. So that meant 4 games would be run per scenario. The story on stardate -296645.43378995543. The ruling body lost contact with a very important freighter. On this vessel, covert tests were made with a highly unstable and experimental energy type, which can be of great use for both civilian and military goals should they manage to control it. The dangers were all around though, not only due to the fact of a catastrophic failure. Other factions might develop an unhealthy interest in the project and try to obtain your research. Your command has been dispatched to check if everything is still in order. Your small task force plots a course to the small star system Al-Qadim 17b, which houses a dwarf star called Afas and a M-class planet only known on the charts as Juf. Good luck, Admiral, and bring back our secrets, no matter the cost. So that is the setting for the narrative storyline of today, and let's have a look at the fleets that participated in this very first Warfleets FTL Battle Day. Both Andy and Mike brought along a fleet of Battle Brothers, represented respectively by Babylon 5 Interstellar Alliance models and the Full Trust Israeli models. Myself and Ignace had a fleet of the Human Defense Force, respectively Babylon 5 Earth Alliance and Battlefleet Gothic Imperials. The Robot Legion had also sent forth 2 fleets, commanded by Patrick using Firestorm Armada models, and David using Battlefleet Valkyrie models. That's from Fat Dragon Games, I believe, the 3D prints you can make. And Ian had brought an overall generic list using the Star Wars Armada Imperial figures, and Timothy brought a Haya fleet, which were Battlefleet Gothic Eldar. And then we had Sven, who brought a fleet of Orc Marauders, which he totally scratch built from, well, wooden sticks and everything. They looked amazing, truly. Look at them at the pictures. But those are not existing models, those are total scratch built. So let the dice rolling begin. Scenario 1, first contact is made. Arriving at the system, the long-range scans are detecting strange signals. Analysis quickly learns that it involves another fleet and the call to arms alarm is raised. These surely can't be here by accident, so confrontation is unavoidable. The first of the scenarios I wrote was a pretty basic affair, so everyone could have a hang of the rules. The only twist was in the deployment. Vessels kept warping in to reinforce their side. Light vessels and squadrons deployed de facto on turn 1. In turn 1, medium vessels could also appear on a 3+, 2+ in turn 2 and automatically in turn 3. Heavy vessels could appear in turn 2 on a 6+, a 4+ in turn 3 and automatically in turn 4. The game would last a maximum of 8 turns and points would be scored for destroyed enemy vessels. And after a round of jumping in and guns blazing, the games ended with the following result. Andy defeated Mike with 300 to 290 in a Battle Brothers grudge match. The Robot Legion of David lost 60 to 80 against the High Elves of Timothy. Ignace Human's Defense Force overpowered the Orc Marauders of Sven with 160 to 90, And Patrick's Robot Legion brought down Ian's generic fleet with 130 to 90. So, okay. Not too much differences in all the battles, that's pretty cool. Scenario 2, the Derelict. So you aren't alone in the system, and that explains why contact might have been lost with the research vessel. When you reach the coordinates, this proves to be the case as no life signs are detected, and the vessel is heavily damaged. This requires further investigations, but you are not alone. The second scenario placed a derelict vessel in the center of the forces, needed to try and scan, which could be done either by a light vessel on a 5+, medium on a 4+, or heavies on a 3+, if they would be within 6 inches of the stem of the model by the end of their turn. That means a full turn, not their movement, so complete turns in the end phase. If a vessel had been fired upon and hit, it would have a -1 penalty to scanning as the crew was occupied otherwise. Squadrons can't scan as they like dedicated sensor suits for this, and the scenario lasted 6 turns. The player who had obtained the most scanning points at the end would be the winner. I personally was outscanned with my human defense force by the High Elf of Timothy with a 5 to 6. David's Robot Legion sensors proved more effective than Sven's cobbled together arrays with 3 to 2. A lone blip on Ian's generic fleet proved too much for the human defense force of Inyas with a 1-0 score. And Patrick's Robot Legion didn't bring enough science equipment compared to Mike's Battle Brothers and ended in a 3 to 5. And that brought us, well, first a small lunch break, to scenario 3, the belt. Now this was on purpose a rather short one because that could allow me to, well, if needed, pull the time schedule a bit back together. The scans have shown that the research has been transferred to the planet Juf, the M-class planet in the habitable zone of the system. However, to reach this, the dangerous area only known as the belt has to be passed. Welcome to the Death Race. This scenario was, well, added to some light-hearted fun, and after the first 24 inches of the map, a 12-inch white asteroid belt was formed. For every inch a vessel traveled through this, it would get 1 damage on a 5+, or 6+ if it was a light vessel or a squadron. But to add some more to it, players deployed next to each other, so they could either go full speed through the belt, or try to hang back and disable enough vessels of the opponent to get there. The game lasted for 8 turns, and points are scored for the value of each of your ships that got off the other side of the table. And while some adopted a totally crazy all speed ahead and risk the full dice at once, some preferred to engage the enemy to delay them and sneak some small vessels up in the meantime. And these Battle Brothers were defeated by the generic fleet of Ian by 100 to 200. David's Robot Legion kept bumping into the rocks as Mike's Battle Brothers took a 0 to 120 win. Inyas and the Human Defense Force was outsped by Timothy's High Elves for a 0 to 90 result, and Patrick's Robot Legion blinked successfully, outspeeding Sven's Orc Marauders with 150 to 120. And that brought us to the final scenario. Now originally, as I said in the beginning, there were 5 scenarios, but the last one would have been just a straight up battle, because well, we didn't know how intense it would be, how long everything would take, and that was just a calm wind down, or a multiplayer with smaller fleets, something like that. But as we all took our sheer time to play our games and didn't want to put a pressuring timetable, we decided to drop the final one, and would round out the day after the following round, which was de facto the finale scenario anyways. And that's scenario 4, the Anomaly. And that's also the one where I made all the CD training for. The fleet has reached Juf, only to find that the planet is no longer there. In its place, a raging energy storm. It seems a cataclysmic accident occurred during the research. Eliminate the enemy to prevent that the events that transpired leaks to the outside and be able to cover it all up. But make sure you don't get caught in the pull of the anomaly. In the center of the table is a raging space anomaly with a gravity field of 12 inches from its exact center. Vessels entering this zone will be pulled towards it and they will be pivoted 45 degrees towards it with the closest facing, and then 6 inches towards its center. So that might be that your backside gets pulled towards there. It's not like you're facing in a good direction. The moment the vessel touches the anomaly, it is immediately destroyed. The scenario lasts for 6 turns and points will be scored in 3 ways. Full points for every enemy vessel destroyed, half points for every enemy vessel damaged, and half points for every one of your vessels that survives. And some indeed ended up in the energy storm. At the end of the round, the following results were as such noted in the data slates. My humanoid defense fleet defeated the Orc Marauders with 4-5 against 90. David's Robot Legions took down Ian's generic fleet with 400 to 160, while Ignatius' Humans Defense Force took down Mike's Battle Brothers. But yeah, I forgot to note the score on that one, sorry. Finally, Patrick's Robot Legion overpowered the generic fleet of Ian by 130 to 90. No, wait, the last one needs a small correction. That's not, you didn't play Ian. One moment. Yeah, sorry about that. I was looking on the wrong paper when I was doing this. So, no, Patrick actually lost the last one against Timothy's High Elf fleet with 105 by 375. Sorry about that, but yeah. These things happen when you're recording this stuff. And so the story of the Juve research project came to an end. And after 8 hours of playing games, the crowd seemed pleased. It was a simple yet fun enough game system. It allowed for old models, and there were models 20-30 years old, the Age of Gaming molds, the Battlefleet Gothic molds, to name a few. And no one went home with a headache, as can be the case after playing tournaments or complicated rule sets for 8 hours straight. The general consensus? Yes, I will organize a second edition around this time next year again. But there is more. The charm of the one-page rules has been discovered, and we will be looking at some other systems of theirs to organize some more of these scenario-driven battle days at the clubhouse, both for fantasy and science fiction games. Rest assured, under all that, the fire has been lit again, and expect to see some more spaceship games played at the club in the coming months. To give an idea of the balance, Timothy's High Elf fleet won his 4 games, Sven's Orc Marauders lost his 4 games, and all the other players went 2 wins, 2 defeats, so we all had about 0 tabletop experience with the rule system, so it was a perfectly balanced scale to have an idea. But yeah, as you can see, that means the balance was okay. GW, take note, you don't have to nerf and bump everything just because somebody lost or somebody won. But I would say, mission successfully accomplished. I hope you liked this little report of the first Warfleets of the Far Side. If you do, like, subscribe, drop a comment. If you have any questions about the scenarios, you want to know more, drop a comment. And if you want to have the scenario bundle, but I'm sorry, it is in Flemish, just drop me a little mail and I can send the PDF to you that I've written. But that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you back in the space lanes for sure during the year. Until next time, bye-bye.
We hebben ooit echt al gepoept, echt waar! Ja!
For watching this video, and if you want to support me, check out the link tree above for all my channels, so you can have a look there, or my affiliate links, so there's a little kickback to the channel for more content. And if you really like, you can always buy me a coffee. Thanks and bye bye.